Hello, everyone. I'm Plasmoir, as me like to call me, that Daffy Afro. Well, put that away for the moment. It happens. Guests cancel, or something happens where they can't make it, or, the drill is just, oh, they're not here anymore. Well, that being a sad reality of the situation, you have to understand that we're human beings and everybody has to have a life. And sometimes people get sick, or sometimes things just don't happen right. I mean, scheduling conflicts aside, there's really very little we can do about the cancellation. But as for what happens at a convention, there's plenty of that you can do, and things should happen a certain way. And let's start off by saying no, you are not getting a full refund if you decide that the guest isn't there, so I'm not going to go anymore. You paid for the convention, you didn't pay for the guests. Let's just get that out of the way. There are some things I will add into that in a moment, but I wanted to say no, you're not entitled to a refund on the convention. Sorry, you still are able to go to do other things. So the first thing you need to know about that was, of course, there are other things to do. I mean, I hate to say this. I go to conventions for the guests, but I don't go for specific guests normally. The only exception was when Chuck Norris was at Comic Palooza. That was it. Otherwise, you pretty much you're paying for an event. You're not paying for specifically a person to show up. I mean, let's face it, it's not a concert. I mean, concerts are part of conventions, but they're not the convention. So you're not paying for, say, AKB 48. You're paying for the use of that space overall. As such, you're not going to get something back for just all of a sudden that guy didn't show up. But you are able to go do other things. You're able to go to the panels. You're able to go watch anime or whatever they have on the video rooms. You're able to play whatever games that are there, anything that is there. You're able to meet other people. You're able to do things at a convention, even if the guest isn't there, that is pretty universal across all the board. So I don't see why you should be expecting to get refunded because one guest cancels. The second thing is now, because of that guest canceling, sometimes they offer things like a photo shoot, or they have to pay them to sign autographs. In that case, you are and should get a refund from the conventions. Entitled to a refund, should get it. If the guest cancels at any point and you've paid for that $150 autograph session for whatever reason, then yes, you should get that refunded. And I know it sucks, but also, and part of it is that there's limited edition everything. Everything's hard to really see this go on and on. Like, hey, how much money did you put into that? You put in $500 for this and this and this, and all of a sudden one person doesn't show up. So you should be able to get that money back at the very least. You should at least get that part of it. You're not going to get the whole convention paid back, no, but at least whatever that $100 was, you get it back, no problem. The question's asked. It should also be noted that any events they host should be either replaced or refunded. You should be able to get that back. And again, we can go through DashCon all we want to, but that was a scam. When realistically, any convention that doesn't give you back the money for that signing or that event or that, you should immediately go up and either file a lawsuit. I hate to say it, but that's a contractual deal that you cannot really get from whatever reason. Talk to an attorney for sure. I mean, make sure you know what they say. I'm not saying that the convention will just do it, but they should reimburse you. And at least if they are not, get an attorney, see what the contract says about events through either an attorney or their website or something, and get that ironed out. You should also understand that if a guest cancels, whose fault is it? I mean, sometimes things happen. Someone gets sick, That's just not fun. But I got sick over a convention, Dragon Con. I got sick. I almost didn't make it to the after party that was for all the volunteers. I was that close to not even going to that party because I got sick the weekend. I couldn't. I barely. I'll be honest with you. That happens, and people get sick. And if a guest just cancels because of scheduling, that's a gray area for me. Because you overbooked is not the con's fault. I mean, I don't want to be a jerk and say this person had A and then this person dropped out of B, but then that plays into what the convention, they had to do that advertising based on somebody not being there now all of a sudden. So that kind of hurts a little bit, but the con isn't at fault. So I'm not going to blame the convention for the guests not showing up because they had a scheduling conflict. Now, if the convention doesn't do what the guest needs, I mean, there are certain instances where medical issues or I need to have this much time to do this, and I can't have this signing and that event at the same time. If the the convention just outright cancels the guests themselves, that's on the convention, and you need to get a refund or something like that. And it's a little bit worse off for the convention. They don't want to cancel a guest normally. If they cancel a guest, and it's on them, that means they're using the guest likeness for advertising. That means they're using the fact that they be at the convention. That's a lot of, we don't want to get into that legal kind of conversation, so we better not cancel it. Once a guest is canceled by the convention, then there's a huge problem up and down the entire convention community. It's not just you, it's the whole con that now has to deal with it. And I would rather not see that. If guests ever gets canceled by the convention, that's a problem. Or if they don't take care of the guest needs. There was a case once here in San Antonio at a different convention from what I've talked about, and they're very shady. We won't get into that detail because I don't even remember what they were. They were that bad. They had got his name. Not James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, but the person was actually in the Darth Vader suit. He was 7 foot tall, so he had to have a certain business class plane ticket because you're 7 feet tall. Those coach things are gonna squelch you. I get it. If you've seen it would be like if you've seen this picture of Sagat being in an airplane and the kid leans back and he all of a sudden goes with a tiger knee to that. It's kind of like that, only not as graphic. Obviously, you need space for that, so I can understand why he needed that because he had some medical issues as well. They needed to cover for. So, yeah, if the convention decides all of a sudden to ruin the guests for whatever reason, that's a big problem. Of course, you'd be entitled to a refund for whatever the guest would appear in, but then it gets to a shady problem. So there are a few things you cannot do, obviously, if a guest cancels. Well, you can't get your money back for the whole con. You can't say, oh, by the way, there's nothing to do now. Well, there's plenty to do at a convention. And in that case, you're just going to have to make do with what you got. Yes, you're entitled to refunds if they cancel and all of a sudden you don't have that event you wanted to go to. But let me add in, if there is no way to directly refund it, you should have some kind of compensation, at least through the convention. And I don't mean an extra hour in the ball pit. Don't give me that crap. Maybe some kind of, or at least if they do it with a third party. I know some conventions contract another group to do the the photo shoots and stuff. At least some kind of compensation to go ahead and get that added on to what you're going to do. For instance, I know there was a time where there was, I can't remember exactly when, there was a guest who canceled very recently that they were a well-known guest of something similar to what they brought in somebody else like the very last second. Okay, they're similar guest style. They were going to have to cancel because of medical issues. But they brought in somebody else to represent that kind of fan group that wasn't exact per se, wasn't a one-to-one, like this person was in this show and it was on the same show, but it was on the same kind of fan group. I will say it was Sentai related. That's all I can tell you. And that's fine. I mean, the convention should at least try to balance it out. If a guest cancels at the last moment, okay, I'm sorry, but that's not much you can do about it. The only thing I could say that you would not be able to get a refund on at all is if you all of a sudden decided, well, I don't like what this guest did in the last, say, 5 hours. I don't want to go there now. I'm sorry, no, that's on your head. If you all of a sudden decide for some whatever reason the guest did something bad you don't like and you have to get that autograph or that picture, sorry, I mean, you're still on the hook for that. I hate to tell you this. Anytime you decide never to just deal with that guest again, at any point, if you already paid for it, you paid for it, he's there or she's there, you got to take care of that. I mean, you might not like that, but you can't just say, I don't want this anymore. You can not recommend it, and I don't think it would be a valuable idea. You could say, I want to sell this off to somebody. I don't recommend that. That's not really what the convention would like you to do. I mean, it's very, very, very bad practice, but it's possible. And you make sure you know the terms of your signing or your picture of whatever guest you have that decided not to make it there, or all of a sudden you just, I can't do it now. If that says you can have up to a certain amount of people in the photo, then ask your friends. If they want to do it, sure, that'd be great. The point I'm trying to make is there's no way you can stop every guest from canceling. It's going to happen. You're going to have problems. Somebody got sick or all of a sudden couldn't make it out because, well, they just have a medical emergency or a family member, unfortunately, is ill. I will not excuse, though, a few things. I will not excuse you just decide not to make it on either side. You missed your flight. I've heard that before. Sorry, that's not an excuse. Get another one in like 2 hours. Don't give me that kind of crap because I've heard that one before. You just don't like what the convention's doing, or the convention doesn't like you all of a sudden. Well, deal with it, But it happens, and you have some rights. You have some legal cause you can take. But for the most part, if you think about it, that's a side product of a convention. Guests are not the whole con. I like seeing guests. I mean, Blake Shepard is one of the coolest people in the anime industry. Oh, by FYI, drinks on you next time, my friend. Just to let you know, I got him his drink, so next one's on him. Just let you know. But generally speaking, you have to just deal with what you've got. And there's plenty to do. And I've always said this, don't stop at a convention. Let everything you do at a con go out to other places in the world. As such, don't go to a convention just for a guest unless that guest is super awesome. You're never going to see him again. I'll never see Chuck Norris for a while. I mean, he's going to a few more conventions, but that was the first one he was in for decades. So, of course, I wanted to take that. Arnold Schwarzenegger, by the way, is at Alamo City Comic Con. I cannot make that, but that's one of those situations where I can understand you're not going to meet that guy for a long time. So go ahead and do that. As such, speaking of conventions that I will be at, once again, because I love doing this, it's my home con basically. I will be at OniCon Friday, November 9th through Sunday, November 11th. Once more, it's my home con, so I had some issues last year and I couldn't make it, but this year I'm definitely going. Things are definitely looking like they're not only going to happen for me to go there, but I'm not planning on any kind of panels, but we'll see what happens, and we might have something soonish that I might do. Depends if I get a few hookups for a certain old school video game console. Hint, hint. But until I can say exactly what it is, and soon I've got to get this stuff, and it's probably going to be delivered by the end of the month. But all I can tell you is it's downright fierce. Hint, hint. Until that point, like, share, subscribe, and please donate to my PayPal if you want to see better videos Because again, one guy with a webcam in his room is not exactly perfect. Until then, later.